You know, I was not planning on filming this today, but then I put on a bunch of makeup and I was like, why not? Hi friends, welcome back, or just welcome if you're new. My name is Emily, and today I'm gonna chat about King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Two quick things. Number one, obviously I didn't finish this book in 2020 like I said I was going to in my last video, but we're here now, so that's what matters. And second, I now have vines on my bookshelves, which I'm so excited about. I feel like my books are in a forest, and I love that for them. Okay, this book, I don't even know what I can say. I absolutely love this. It was so fantastic to revisit Ravka after taking a break from it in the Six of Crows duology. Seeing all of the characters overlap and interact was so cool, but I don't want to get into too much before the summary, so let's get into it. King of Scars is told from three POVs, Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina. Nikolai is working on trying to get the demon out of him while he's trying to maintain Ravka's stability. Zoya is trying to do the same thing, except she's leading the Grisha army. They find this monk who says that there's this ritual that can get the demon out of him, so they decide to go on a little adventure to go and find the place to do the ritual. Doesn't go exactly as they planned. And far away in Fjorda, Nina is working with a team in order to smuggle Grisha out of Fjorda and into Ravka so that they can be safe, but Nina finds something horrifying that's happening in a small town in Fjorda, and she realizes that she needs to stay and save those people. All of the stories overlap and intertwine in different ways, leading to a dramatic finish and a slam-bang follow-up, I'm going to assume, in Rule of Wolves, which comes out in March of this year. First thing I absolutely cannot get over is Leigh Bardugo, master of dialogue. I mean, this woman has it down pat. She is so good at natural dialogue rhythms. One of the exchanges that really stood out to me was when Nikolai is first talking to Yuri, who is the monk who follows the Darkling or the Starless One or whatever. Super creepy, but that's besides the point. Nikolai and his team have Yuri surrounded and they're basically threatening his life, but Nikolai is making it sound like he's just having a casual conversation, and they have it in front of all these people, so it's super high risk. It's so good. Another thing I really can't get over is the relationship between Nikolai and Zoya. Now, of course, I'm talking about the romantic sides of it, but also I'm just talking about the intellectual and emotional connections that they have with each other. Nikolai trusts Zoya completely. He defers to her judgment a lot, even though he's the literal king of Ravka, and Zoya is so loyal and so fiercely protective of her king. She has enough power that she could certainly overthrow Nikolai if she wanted to. She could become the queen in an instant, but she doesn't because she respects him and cares about him and loves him that much, and I think that's such a great character dynamic. Kind of on that note, the triumvirate itself in total, so awesome. They're all so smart. I loved all the scenes with them in the war room where they're like talking about political stuff and like war strategy. So cool. You could just like hear their brains turning. And again, really quickly on the topic of teams, Nina, Adric, and Leonie. I loved their dynamic. I loved Leonie and Adric's like banter, where Adric is just so grouchy and Leonie is so sunny. And it's like that thing where the grouchy one only smiles for the sunny one and all that stuff. So cute. I loved it so much. Okay, there isn't a whole lot that I can talk about without spoiling things, so before we get into that section, bottom line, dialogue, amazing, world building, so cool, it was like I never left, and the characterization was just impeccable. Okay, really quickly, when was Leigh Bardugo going to tell me that David and Genya and Tamar and Nadia are married? Maybe I missed something in the trilogy, but there were like moments where David would reference Genya as his wife, and then Tamar referenced Nadia as her wife, and like, I'm just so happy they're married, but like, honestly, where are my wedding scenes? Speaking of couples, or at least the potential of them, Nina and Hannah? Thoughts? I saw some pretty good chemistry there, and I understand why they didn't like get together in King of Scars because it just wouldn't have made sense because Nina has just laid Matthias to rest, so obviously she needs time to work through that within herself, but I certainly could see something happening in Rule of Wolves, and you know what? Fingers crossed that it does. I think they would be such a power couple. On the topic of Matthias, the way that Bardugo wrote Nina's grief was really, really well done. She really captured that feeling of turmoil and anguish, but allowed it to be a part of Nina's story and a part of her growth, and gave Nina those tools to be like, all right, I'm upset, but I'm going to keep him in mind, but still move on because that's what he would want me to do. It was just really awesome. And the fact that Tressel shows up, who's Matthias's wolf, cherry on top. He's like still with her in so many ways. I hope I wasn't the only one confused when I turned the page and then saw Isaac's name, but I was really into Isaac's story. I thought he was a really great character. I thought that was a cool arc to kind of keep the tension going back in Ravka, and I'm very upset that Isaac dies. Actually, kind of heartbroken about it. He was such a great character, and it was such an interesting juxtaposition between him and Nikolai. It was a cool angle for Bardugo to take. And can we talk about Zoya for a second? Because holy moly, this woman is so powerful. Her work with Eurus in the Shadowfold was super cool to read about, and her backstory absolutely broke my heart. I can really see where Nina gets her ruthlessness and her hardened exterior from. She kind of had to after what happened to her in order to protect her emotions. Her communication with like the making at the heart of the world and her ability to use all the orders of Grisha power, so cool. And not only is she powerful physically, but she's also very powerful intellectually and emotionally. She's super smart, and she also knows when to rein in her emotions, when to let them go. Zoya's really in touch with her feelings, and so she understands that she really does feel things for Nikolai. I mean, Nikolai knows that he is kind of in love with Zoya the night before the ritual when they're talking about how Zoya got her amplifier, but then Zoya feels a little prickly at the end when Nikolai is like, Princess Aerie, you're going to be my bride. She's like, excuse me? I don't know. It's just really cool. I really can't wait to see more of her in Rule of Wolves. She's so fantastic. Of course, I couldn't let this video end without dedicating an entire section to the literal love of my life, Nikolai Lantsov, King of Ravka. He's so smart. He figured out what was going on with Princess Aerie, who's the shoe princess, after being back at the palace for like literally a couple of hours. He's compassionate with those around him. Isaac references how Nikolai knows the name of everybody and asks after everyone who's sick or injured, so he really cares about his subjects. He is also the epitome of wit and dry humor. I'm pretty sure most of the tabs that I have in King of Scars are his one-liners. They're just so good, I don't want to forget them. He's just such an incredible character, so well written and so well rounded, and his emotional journey here with his internal struggle with the demon and wondering if the demon is really him, it's so incredible to watch. Cannot wait to see more of him in Rule of Wolves. And finally, the ending? Absolutely not. Yuri was fishy from the beginning, we all knew this, and I knew something gross was going to happen at the end, but never in a million years did I expect that the spirit of the Darkling would literally inhabit Yuri's body. He's literally back from the dead. Huh? It was certainly a dramatic finish, certainly a great setup for Rule of Wolves. I guess it's good that I read this later than it came out because now I don't have as much time to anxiously wait for the next one. And with that, we have come to the rating, which should surprise absolutely nobody. 5 stars, hands down. Although it was a little bit slow at the beginning, it did pick up relatively quickly, so I didn't really mind it that much. The characters are absolutely incredible. The plot was also really cool. All of the concepts were super awesome. The world building, impeccable. So good. Give it a read before Rule of Wolves comes out. And now for my favorite quote, which is going to be extremely difficult given how many things I have tabbed in this book. But when it comes down to it, I think I'm going to have to go with something that Nikolai kind of thought in his narration while the Triumvirate and him and Zoya were planning for their journey into the Thornwood. Nikolai had been told hope was dangerous, had been warned of it many times, but he'd never believed that. Hope was the wind that came from nowhere to fill your sails and carry you home. I just think that's beautiful. I think that's such an interesting way to think about it when it feels like all is lost and you can see no way out. There's always hope right out there on the horizon. You just have to believe that there's a chance that you'll make it out. And obviously Nikolai follows this kind of strategy. I think we could all adopt it for ourselves too. And that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you so choose, and I will see you next time. Happy reading!